We were in Hanoi, Vietnam. From the airport bus, we walked through the old quarter. Had we not eased ourselves into Asia, it would have been quite the shock to the system. The ceaseless stream of motorbikes, scooters, cars, and buses rarely obey traffic lights or laws. As a pedestrian, you can fjord the rushing river of vehicles, but your job is to do it slowly and steadily, and they'll go around you. The cacophony of honking isn't out of anger. It's just drivers letting walkers and other motorists know that they're there. Our hotel was not great. The narrow lobby doubled as a pedicure and foot massage parlor, which is actually fairly common here. The stairs up to the room were littered with boxes and bags of who knows what. But the biggest issue was that the room had no window, even though the description advertised a patio and a view. Do we need to be able to see out? Maybe not. Do we want to be trapped in the unlikely event of a fire? No, thank you. We made a fuss and got our money back. We went to another hotel where we overpaid a bit because it was last minute.
Overpaying in Hanoi would be a steal of a deal in Hong Kong.
But the room was nice, including large windows with a Juliet balcony and a very nice lady working the front desk. After settling in, we went for a walk, stopping for banh mi at an outdoor stall, then checking out St. Joseph's Cathedral and Wan Kiem Lake. When we got back to the hotel, we both noticed what appeared to be bug bites around our ankles and lower calves. They didn't feel itchy or sore, and we hadn't noticed being chomped on, but something had been eating us out there. Breakfast at the hotel was included, with a buffet spread of fruits, veggies, and hot beverages, plus made-to-order plates prepared by the same nice lady who had checked us in. We did a little wandering, seeking out a couple of beverages. Heike's blended coconut with mango was wonderful. John's egg coffee was tasty, but it was a stretch to call the sweet, foamy confection coffee. We spotted Heike's little Vietnamese mini-me at the cafe too. We learned about the old quarter following an online walking tour. Amongst other sights, we saw the Opera House, visited the Women's Museum, and went by Wa Lo Prison,
aka the Hanoi Hilton,
as monikered by American POWs. For dinner, we tried Wong Wei's restaurant. It was very highly rated and, not usually a good sign, had very white clientele. Although, to be fair, there probably aren't many Hanoi locals looking for vegan and vegetarian options in the tourist area. It was a little more expensive than the outdoor stands, but it was also really tasty. Heike loved her green mango salad, which she hasn't had in years, and John thought his beef guava salad was even better. Heike rounded out her meal with ginger greens and vegetarian pho, while John tried a local favorite, bun cha, which is Hanoi traditional fried pork patties and pork belly with bean sprouts and spring onion, served with vermicelli, cilantro, and mint. Then you wrap it all up in rice paper.
like making fajitas.
And dip it in fish sauce. So good. The next day we moved to the King Lee Hotel. Our room was on the 8th floor with a great view of the lake. That night, John went out of his comfort zone to try a couple of Hanoi specialties at street stands, where you sit on tiny plastic stools next to the rushing traffic, garbage bins, and them washing dishes in tubs next to the gutter. First was Ban Quan, steamed rice rolls with a savory filling of minced pork, wood ear mushrooms, and shallots, topped with crispy fried shallots. Next was Bun Taing, Hanoi chicken soup, or, as the lady chopping and tearing up the carcasses at the stall called out in the only 3 English words she knew,
Chicken noodle soup?
which made the absolute deliciousness in a bowl sound a lot less exotic and exciting than it was. But from her side, it's definitely a good beckoning to the tourists. After all, who doesn't like chicken noodle soup?
Vegetarians might not.
Heike picked up a couple of roti, or coffee buns, 1 cheese and 1 chocolate. The cheese could have been warmer. It wasn't hot enough to be gooey inside, while the chocolate had a molten core that burned both the inside and outside of her mouth.
But so delicious, it was worth the pain.
Stopping at a roving cart, we got a bag of fruit sprinkled with sugary spice of some sort.
Which I later found out was likely made with shrimp.
The fruit was all young, baby mangoes, you eat the whole thing as no seed is developed yet, crisp mango slices, green papaya, and some other round things that were more pit than fruit. It was all crunchy and refreshing. The next day we explored westward with the help of a historic walking tour, not to be confused with the old quarter tour the day before. This one took us to a dozen sites, including the Temple of Literature, as depicted on the 10,000 dong bill,
About 50 cents.
the Flag Tower of Hanoi, the One-Pillar Pagoda, and the President Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum. We didn't go in to check out the body of the revered leader who brought independence and communism to Vietnam. Our last stop was the Tran Quoc Pagoda, which is set on an island in West Lake. Apparently this lake has regular fish die-offs. The reason seems to be a debated subject, but whatever the cause, one had just happened. Hundreds of dead fish were floating everywhere.
The stink was worse than whatever you're imagining.
Yet, people were still fishing. We don't think it was for food, but how sporting is it to hook a fish in its death throes? Now that you're hungry, let's talk food again. That evening, John had ban bao, the Vietnamese version of a Cantonese bun that Chinese immigrants brought to Hanoi. John asked the seller which ones were best and took all three recommendations: cheese, beef, and corn, cheese char siu or barbecue pork, and sausage and cheese. John rounded out the order with a pork and quail eggs bao.
You've had more quail eggs this week than in your entire life prior to this trip.
Then, Heike decided to add 1 cheese, brown rice, mushroom, and chicken to the order.
Sometimes John doesn't choose what I know he'll like.
We also grabbed mystery sliced fruit from a stand. It turns out it was rose apple, which is a fruit from a tree in the myrtle family. Not rose or apple, the crisp, somewhat floral fruits are not commercially cultivated due to their thin, easily bruised nature and short shelf life. Rose apples are foraged from wild and home garden trees as a seasonal delicacy, so it was fun to try something not available in North America. That night, our lovely third hotel of Hanoi had a surprise for Heike. She got out of bed to use the bathroom and turned on the light.
Oh, no, 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 no.
A giant cockroach, the size of a man's thumb, crawling on the floor. Heike shrieked and fled the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. By the time she convinced John to get out of bed and do something about our room's unwelcome nocturnal visitor, it was gone. Which was actually the worst outcome, because where was it now? You probably don't have to be told that there was very little sleep for Heike that night. The following morning, Heike relayed her experience to the hotel manager, who was appropriately horrified, as well as what she thought was the insect's possible access point, a sizable gap between tiles in the shower. The savior sent to rectify the roach problem was not an exterminator nor a handyman, but the elderly doorman, who had exactly 0 words of English. He humored the crazy white lady who was scared of a little bug with, let's call it a rustic fix. He proceeded to fill the gap between the tiles by shoving in chunks of the minuscule bars of hotel soap, then caulking over that with toothpaste from the complimentary tiny tubes. Effective or not, at least the roaches would be clean with minty breath.